Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Delzinski and welcome to another WWE DVD and Blu-ray review. If you haven't guessed it already, by that intro, the title which I'm reviewing today is Ladies and Gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. Whew! I've been looking forward to this one. I've just got done watching it and I've got to admit, it is awesome. Now, this title was supplied to me by those good fellas at www.dvd.co.uk. And ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. Will be available from the 4th of August 2014. And you can pick this title up in two formats. You got the DVD version priced at £29.99. And you got the Blu-ray version priced at £34.99. And this title is certificated a 12. So guys, if you do enjoy this review, and I've got to admit, I was looking forward to this and it exceeded my expectations, and I would head over to www.dvd.co.uk and put in a pre-order for this one if you're a fan of ECW, if you're a fan of the Walrus Paul Heyman, or you just want to get an understanding of a man that has drive and passion for the wrestling industry. Now, just for the purpose of this review, I had the Blu-ray version. So, Paul Heyman, he's known for being controversial. People call him an inspirational being. He's a revolutionary in the wrestling industry. And this title really does sum that up. Because for me, I was amazed at the passion that Paul Heyman possesses. The drive. The will to succeed, even at points when he's at his lowest, Paul Heyman still wants to be the best. He is a fighter and he fights to the bitter end, even if he's fighting for a cause which really he shouldn't be doing. Now, he's fought for everything that he's got. The success that he has now hasn't come easily. He started at the bottom, but he always knew from day one that he wanted to be involved in the wrestling business in some shape or form. Now, Paul Heyman got his start as a photographer, and that was just taking photos of superstars and basically being on the road, following them around and really trying to get involved in the industry. This led to him hanging around with the likes of Dusty Rhodes, the Grand Wizard, and just trying to be around those guys. Bam Bam Bigelow, he was introduced to him and he began to manage Bam Bam Bigelow. But for him, it was all a process. He needed to understand the way the industry worked, and by hook or by crook, Paul Heyman did it. From this, the early days, he did become a fully fledged manager. And he went to WCW. And he went by the name of Paul E. Dangerously, where he managed the likes of Steve Austin, Ravishing Rick Rude, and formed the Dangerous Alliance. Now, the important word in Paul Heyman's managerial name is dangerously, because he really did live dangerously when he became the creative mastermind behind ECW. His influence as you know, a revolutionary really came into full effect. And again, I go back to my point of him being a fighter and wanting to do anything at any means necessary to make this company succeed. His idea for ECW was the WWE were given a product that really was watered down. It wasn't anything that a true wrestling fan wanted to see. The WCW, on the other hand, were mimicking the product of the WWE. It just wasn't worth watching. But Paul Heyman, with the mind, the creative masterpiece that he could come up with, produced Extreme Championship Wrestling. This was something that no one had ever seen before. It pushed the boundaries to the limit. From this title, you get an understanding of how ECW worked. There were bounce paychecks, people complaining, Paul Heyman working with the talent though to build them up. And it was, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't anything that was seen before. There were troubles, but ultimately there was one goal, and Heyman managed to get that throughout this company. They wanted to be remembered and hold a legacy, and I think that is what ECW has done, because it never will be replicated as much as the WWE tries. And that's something that Heyman covers again in this title, how moving forward, coming up to present day, around the days of when ECW went out of business and WWE tried to recreate the ECW brand, he was humiliated. He was disgusted by what WWE had made his company into. And that led to him basically falling out with the WWE when he did become a part of World Wrestling Entertainment, because ECW unfortunately closed its doors. For Paul Heyman, he was a great creative genius, but he just didn't have the finances to make it work. And that made him move to the WWE in the end when the final closing days had come with ECW. So he moved to the WWE, just at first as an announcer, but he honed his skill again. And he said that becoming an announcer constantly made him better himself when he had to be a manager. He then was given the opportunity to become the head writer at SmackDown, and he made that brand come on leaps and bounds. And what he found interesting was the fact that at this point there was no more WCW. At this point there was no more ECW. But Vince McMahon still wanted competitions. This was why the two wrestling brands were split, Raw and SmackDown. And he did this for the purpose that Vince just wanted competition between the two brands, and Paul Heyman thrived on that, because Paul Heyman ultimately made a better SmackDown brand than of what was going on at Raw, and it was proven in merchandise sales, proven in viewing figures. Heyman was doing the job. But sometimes for someone like Paul Heyman, that is just not enough. He would fight, and as I said, he's a fighter. He would fight, moan, bitch and piss for what he thought was right. And although he was warned, he was told sometimes, look, sometimes you need to walk away from these battles. Paul Heyman just can't do that. And Paul Heyman and Vince came to blows, and Paul Heyman went his separate ways. Now in that time, he did indeed scout out a very young beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. And his relationship with Brock has grown ever since. As well, in this title, we get an insight into Paul Heyman outside of the wrestling industry, where he's created a social media craze with his Heyman Hustle brand, and it's received a cult-like following. From this stage, and as I mentioned, his time at WWE was done. I don't think he even thought he was ever coming back. But one day he got the call, and it was from Vince McMahon. And Vince said to him, look, let's bury the hatchet. I want you to come back as a manager and manage Brock Lesnar. Heyman said, well, he loved his time with Brock Lesnar and he would come back. And this is where he is today. Now, what I found very interesting from this title was the way that Vince summed up Paul Heyman, and the way that in business, this is the way you would want Paul Heyman. Now, this is a great quote. You'd rather have Paul Heyman pissing from within your castle than being outside the castle and pissing on it. And I think that is a great way to sum it up, because Heyman can be a real pain in the arse. Don't get me wrong. As I said, he fights for everything, even if he's in the wrong. So having him against you is just annoying, and it causes trouble. Although he might cause trouble inside your business, you can contain him and you have him working for you. And what you get when Paul Heyman works for you is you get passion, you get drive, and you get that creative genius. So guys, I mean, you get all of this in this title. It is fantastic, looking at from the days of him being a photographer all the way up to present. The documentary about Paul Heyman is great. The man himself sits down and gives you a play-by-play of his career, the ups, the downs, and the career highlights. On top of this as well, you get all of his promos. Yes, the rest of the disc, you get all of his phenomenal promos from the days of WCW all the way up to the WWE at present, to the stage of conquering the streak. Guys, I recommend this for anybody who's a fan. I did say it before, if you're a fan of ECW, you've got to get this. You get insight from the likes of Tommy Dreamer, Raven, RVD. As well, you also understand what Paul Heyman does behind the scenes in the WWE, even at this point. He's a manager, but he's not just that. He inspires the young talent, the likes of Cesaro. Even someone like Renee Young learns from Paul Heyman. He takes these people under his wing and betters them. It is great. It's a good watch, and I recommend it. So guys, if you do enjoy this review, if you like the sound of Ladies and Gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, one of the most controversial men in the wrestling industry, head over to www.dvd.co.uk and put in your pre-order right about now. I will leave a link in the description box below. Let me know your comments. If you're going to pick this one up, definitely let me know. And if you do get it and watch it, let me know your views on Ladies and Gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. So guys, until next time, as always, please rate, comment and subscribe. This is Delzinski, signing out.